Hey, hello everyone. A quick short video update today. Let's take a look at kind of what happened in the markets and where we are. We've had about a 1% sell-off across the markets. We did recover some of that in the after hours. So between after the 3 o'clock when the markets closed to 4 o'clock, we got the news from Apple and from Amazon, and both of those have staged pretty strong rallies in here. So Apple trading about 283 in the after hours, Amazon trading about 255, and this has pushed the futures from close near the lows, to have a little bit of a rally into the futures close. So in here, there's really not a lot to do. I mean, just kind of continue to follow the trend, but there are some indications that we could be weakening a little bit on the breadth. If you take a look at the RSP, which is the equal weight, that's losing a little bit of ground, a little bit of momentum. We've had, over 2.5% of stocks making new highs, over 2.5% of stocks making new lows. When this type of action starts to happen, we start to have imbalances in the market, and that could signal that we might be getting into maybe a more pronounced pullback. But I do have to have confirmation from the market. And I mean, cryptos are acting pretty weak, and they're threatening to break their 20-day moving averages. And the stock market is kind of hanging in here. And the results, I mean, if tomorrow, for example, you notice Apple and Amazon completely reversing their earnings and closing towards the lows in the last day of the month, that could signal that we might be getting into a pullback. Now, remember, September and October was supposed to be pretty weak markets for the pretty weak months for the market. November and December are supposed to be pretty decent months. So we'll see, if everything kind of gets turned upside down this year, we could be looking at the pullback. But nonetheless, this could be moves kind of a month end positioning, things of that nature. I'm still positioned pretty bullish. The only thing I shorted today, I shorted Starbucks. I don't like how Starbucks is acting, and I've done a couple of short moves on the short side, but very nimble. I'm still, fairly good exposed on the long side, and one of my positions is Apple, so I'm happy that it is moving higher. Oracle is another one that I'm starting to work on because it's back into support, although it broke the 50-day moving average, and that's a bit of a problem. So we'll see how if they're able to accumulate in here the institutions and kind of turn it back above that 50-day moving average. If not, I'll kind of completely get out of there. And Netflix also looks definitely interesting in here as it's being supported at a long-term moving average. So if you take a look at Netflix, like it's right here at that 52-week average. So the fact that they've done the stock split here might be interesting. Now the candles, they are I mean, last week was a pretty bad week in here on high volume. But if this is a nice ABC, it could be done. And if we're moving back above 1257, or 127, whatever that's going to be after the split, that could be a signal for kind of further upside. So let's quickly let me jump over and take a look here at kind of what's happening in Bitcoin. I mean, it had a really good reaction from, from here, from the middle of the month, from this 20-day moving average. Now we're coming back and retesting this. I mean, that's not pretty. On the weekly time frame, it doesn't look that bad as it had yesterday. I mean, this failure in here, it's still kind of very pronounced. That we had a nice reaction with this week, and it's still just kind of sideways. So it's a chop fast. You could get, hit numerous times. I'm not involved. I don't care about this type of price action. It doesn't do me any good. So, when it's going to start acting right, I'm going to start to get involved. For right now, I'm just kind of watching it. Same for XRP. They're at the important moving average. Steve, they're going to get accumulated. Ethereum, in here, it still looks pretty good. It's above the key average in here, a nice setback, but it's just not advancing as I would like it to, back above 4,300, at least for me to kind of be able to get involved. Now you can see kind of what's happening into like MSTR, that's not looking good. I mean, look at this guy, right? It's lost its 52-week moving average, and nothing good happens below this average, and it's it could be a big shit show, with it, and it's got room to move into 230. We'll see what happens in here. BMNR, it's another one that is. I mean, I know this is the weekly time frame, but let me see. I mean, this one is kind of threatening to crack lower. I don't know. It doesn't look as weak as MSTR does, and I've been, pretty vocal and even shorted MSTR several times because it's just not acting right. And when something, for example, when Bitcoin reacted, MSTR didn't do anything. So it's one of those stocks that it could bounce, but for right now, again, it's below key moving averages, and when it's like this, it's very hard to do anything on the log side. Like it's really damaged and it's got a long way to recover. So I don't know what's happening with this. And look, Starbucks looks kind of the same. If you take a look at Starbucks, it's kind of has the same look like MSTR did before it dropped. Like when it does this almost like a flat formation, I would say. I didn't really count this in detail, but again, below all the moving averages, it's been just a weak stock. They're trying to, save it somehow, but it's got a pretty big neckline in here, and it's some kind of a head with some shoulders in here, whatever. It just looks weak, so we'll see if it breaks. I mean, it's got a long way to go, but again, it had a nice reaction from here. Uh, and it just kind of failed to rally. But as long as it's below these moving averages, I'm going to continue to try to short this guy. So just trying to stay balanced, just you know, not be like a super bull, but also have some, some bearish exposure, so I can kind of, keep my eyes peeled. And because if you have a short position, then you have your eyes peeled in both direction, and you're listening to the market like that. Let's take a look at Oracle. ORCL. In this one, I mean, it had a huge move on earnings, and then it started to retreat, and it broke below this moving average, below the 50, and it's about 5.5% below this. It's trying to kind of get back in the after hours a little bit, but if it gets back above this low, and from 268 becomes like 275 to 80, then I'm gonna accelerate my long, because then I know it's a failed move. So far this looks highly corrective, and it is into the previous support, right here, right? So I'm just nibbling at it, but you got to get much better confirmation in here that it holds from the price, to kind of really move strongly into this guy. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in here. So let's see what's going on with Apple. Still okay, and then Amazon. I mean, it's a long night. Who knows how they're going to be opening tomorrow? I mean, Meta is another one that just lost it yesterday, and it's below a pretty, again, a pretty big moving average. So, you know, they're going to try to hold it in here, because you're not going to, you can't spend a lot of time below this. So, with RSI back at 45, and a key moving average, I mean, this could be the spot where they could try to load this up and see if they can recover it. The other one was Microsoft. This is just like very ugly, just an ugly chart. All right, so again, thanks for watching. I'm just a bit cautious, but I'm excited to see how the month closes. All right, bye.